Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Salad Bowl Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Thompson, and today I get to hop into a conversation with a young man that I think is extremely charismatic and brings a lot to the table, especially when it comes to his culture. I'm looking forward to jumping into this next episode, but before we do, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button or go ahead and follow me on social media or whatever platform that you get your podcasts on. With that being said, I'm looking forward to jumping into this next episode. Let's hop right in. All right, welcome back to the Salad Bowl Podcast. Today, I have a very special person with me, a young guy that I think is extremely charismatic, and I knew he was the type of guy that I wanted on this podcast. So today, I want to welcome him, but also introduce you to Yunuss Labghaly. Welcome to the show, brother.
Yes, sir.
I do want to thank you up front just for making the time to come through. It's always a big thing for me when people actually take the time and say, hey, Kev, I'll give you an hour or two to sit down and have some real conversations. And I think you and I have had some really good conversations, whether it was through sports, whether it's through the organization we work for. But I'm glad that we're sitting here right now. I think this was meant to happen for a certain reason, and I'm looking forward to diving in, man. The first segment that we get into with all my guests, we call it the harvest. Now, the harvest is where we just kind of get into the roots of who you are, man, and I'm really interested because there's always a story behind the face that we see. I don't care if it's on TV, if we see it on the news, or even just on a day-to-day basis, but I'm really interested on your origin story of what led up to the point of you sitting down with me right now.
Okay. To start off, as you said, my name is Yunuss Labghaly. My actual last name is Yunuss Diallo. The reason why my last name was changed was because my parents migrated here from a country in West Africa called Senegal. And they're from the village, it was during war times of the neighboring country of Mauritania. My parents and my father foremost, may God bless him for sure, but, he went through a lot to get here. I'm blessed to be in America. But basically how it all started off, my father put in a visa package. He didn't have the money for it, and his dad, also didn't have the money for it because we're, in the village where our currency wasn't up to par. So basically my father got up, packed his bags, man, and just migrated all over Africa. Went to Congo, went to Togo, went to Guinea, went to many different countries to get to America. So, having that background and seeing a man that really hustled, being harassed by police in countries that he's been to, or just people spitting on him, making it feel like he's not good enough. And then, that background, having that, it's always good to have a background. Like, people come up to me, they're like, man, I wish I had an understanding of my roots, or I wish I knew where I came from. But people don't understand the pride that I take in it. And then, it definitely makes me who I am. My dad migrated, came to New York, spent a good amount of time there, probably like 8 months or so. Went to Columbus, Ohio, and, applied for my mother to come here. And, alhamdulillah again, may God bless both of them, all praise to God. Like, my mom came as well. Mom came down here to start a family. My older brother was born. Shout out to him. Actually, when we was younger, like I was real young, but we was in Cleveland, Ohio too. I didn't even know that part until probably last year, but hey, I was out there for a little bit. So yeah, I did a little moving around, but other than that, man, like I was born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. Like that's definitely my hometown.
That's where you call home, man. I feel like that's such a non-traditional story of how we land in the same organization together, right? Or just the American experience seems, I think through our societal viewpoints, the American story looks certain type of ways, and that's not necessarily the standard one that we see. Mm-hmm. What do you think from your parents' immigration from other countries to come to America? What do you think it taught you as their child?
The thing is, I was taught as a child pretty fairly young because I've been to Africa many times in my life. I went there at the age of, I believe, 4, left. Then I went again at the age of 10 or 9, was there for about 3 years. So, I was there 3 years ago. So, seeing it's a humble thing. Like, I think my parents sent me there to see that struggle that they had because I was in the village for about 3 years. And I just seen everything, like, living it. And it's like, dang, like, this is where my parents came from.
Wow.
Seeing the transition of a 10-year-old hustling for the family to go to a farm and to grow food, grow crops for the family, or walking with like plastic shoes
Mm.
and like you stepping on freaking like branches and it like ends up in your foot.
Wow.
Like just little things that you have to worry about. And then you think about it and you're like, man, you come to America and you're like, dang, like this is different. Like, coming here, it's a blessing because, America has so many opportunities, especially for young, bright people. Africa has a lot of bright people. Like, people always forget that the origin of Africa, like Africa is it's a strong continent. Like everything is over there. People have a certain image on Africa, but I guarantee you, if you go to Africa right now, anything you could do in America, you could do it over there.
I'm sure.
Like, they have an image of how our infrastructure looks like, how our cities look like. But when you go there, it's a beautiful place. The atmosphere is different. The food is raw. There's a KFC over there in Senegal.
No kidding.
And it's like
KFC.
the KFC over there is authentic. Like it's real chicken.
Yes.
Like, you can taste it compared to the processed food that we have in America.
Exactly. Probably less chemicals, the whole nine when it comes. Yeah. Something as simple as KFC. Yeah. You talked about growing up in the village, man. Yeah. And I'm got to be real with you, brother. I'm over here sitting across from you, fanning out a little bit because it's always been one of my dreams to go to Africa. And I don't want to speak on the account of all African Americans, but I will say for myself, I think there's extreme value in knowing where your people come from. And I've never been to Africa, whether it's for work or for vacation. That's one of the things I'm lining up to do as soon as I retire out of the Marine Corps. But like you talk about the village life, and though there may be some downsides of like, okay, I may have plastic shoes, or I'm not sure, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but say that that's a downside of it. But like, what are some of the values you learn within a village in Africa?
So one thing I'm gonna say before I hit on that was when you talked about going to Africa as a African American man like yourself. Like when I was there's a certain island. If anybody in the podcast is interested in going to Senegal, it's right off the border of the West. So literally, you can fly from New York and go to Senegal, and like that's literally the country that comes as soon as you come into West Africa. From that angle coming in there, so there's a certain island called Gore Island. And you have to take a boat to go there, but it's an island connected to Senegal. And man, when I went there, I seen a lot of African Americans from America, came over there, and you could see the emotion on their face. Like everybody's just coming there crying because this is where the slaves were literally pushed off to America. Yeah. Like literally, that's literally the ledge that you get on there. You could literally see, or you can literally think about it in your head, and you're like, man, like dang, like. This is where slavery happened. Like this is where they came and they grabbed the people and put them on this border and sent them off to America.
Wow.
It's like this emotional standpoint going on in there, and then just going on. It's like a resort, man. It's like a real resort. Like it's not a museum that's been created.
Yeah.
This is where actual people were taken. Like where you're stepping is where they were barefooted, probably beat, bleeding. This is where they were.
Wow. That's got to be an emotional experience.
Definitely.
And to call that place home rather than just, coming through. And I think you find a lot of authenticity of being a local. Like you didn't, when you say you visited back home, but like we're talking about you were back in the village for 3 years, that's home. I mean, that's a certain level of home for you. What on a day-to-day life in a village in Africa, or at least your day-to-day life in a village in Africa, what did it look like?
So, man, it's so crazy. I'm from in Senegal. There's the village that I'm from is about 8 hours from the city, so it's about 8-9 hours. It's literally at the edge of Senegal is where I'm from. Like so, you can see the neighboring country, Mauritania. You can see the neighboring country literally from the lake. You see the country right in front of it.
Wow.
So going over there, man, how it was for us. Go to sleep, wake up probably like 5, 4, 5. Yeah, 5, because the Africans are morning people.
Oh, really?
You wake up to, it's the same, you wake up to roosters, you wake up to animals, you wake up to all this stuff. So it's just like, I used to sleep on the rooftop of my house because my dad has a personal built house. My family has a house. All these houses are like probably 200-300 years old. Like,
wow.
These are real, from bricks, from stones, and from mud and all this stuff. Like these are real deal, real like structured houses. So, I wake up on the rooftop, get down, like that's when, you cook breakfast. Everybody comes together because in Africa, there's no individual eating. The whole family eats together.
No kidding.
Put a plate on the table or plate on the ground. Everybody eats. Everybody eats on the same plate.
Wow.
So get up, eat your breakfast, get done. Then, me as a kid, like, I had friends around in the village, so I'll go around to them. Or, like I mentioned earlier, we had our crops and we also had, plants and everything, fruits. So we had plantation. So I would go there and make sure everything's good. This was when I was 10, man. Like,
wow.
This is all like leadership. Like this is me being born as a leader. Like, I was put in that position to be a leader. I was, here. A lot of people talk about bad leadership or this is that. Even an organization that we work for, or like you're not fit to be a leader because you're not as good as a job as somebody else. But these experiences is what turned me into a leader. These experiences are what made me feel empathy for the rest. Because if I didn't have those jobs done, like those kids, those mothers, those fathers wouldn't be able to eat.
Yeah.
That would be on me. So it's like me as an 10, 11-year-old, and then I have, as well as other uncles and aunties coming out there with me. But at the end of the day, I was the one putting in the work because I'm younger.
Yeah.
And they're teaching me to be around it so that later on in my life, and when they're not there, that I can teach it to others.
Yeah.
But really, like, my parents put me in that position to show me how they were and how they grew up in life. Because my dad always had a saying. He was like, you're blessed to be in America. I'll tell you that right now. People would die to be in your position.
Wow.
And, and before I went to Africa, I was like, why is he telling me this? And when I went there for 3 years, I only talked to my parents probably every 3 months.
Wow.
On Skype, like back when Skype was a thing.
Shout out Skype.
Yeah, man. I probably only talked to them probably once every 3 months.
Yeah.
Like checking in, be like, hey, yeah, I'm doing good, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then I had Quran school where I would learn the Quran, and I had actual school, like like this was like a curriculum. They have a curriculum out there.
Yeah.
It was like elementary school or middle school, and the French. It was all in French because the country is colonized by the French. Just went to school, learned. I knew French for quite a while, but I understood it at least, and I lost it.
Yeah,
I didn't speak it anymore. But yeah, like got off school, left. Shoot, probably just go to the wild. The way I used to have fun, I used to go to we call it Lud. It's like it's like literally in the middle of nowhere, where it's just a whole bunch of donkeys and animals. I used to just go out there with my friends, like hop on a donkey, start harassing the donkey, playing with the donkey.
Yeah.
Or like we would play with the wild dogs. We would grab a wild dog's kid and just take it with us.
Yeah.
So that the wild dog can chase us.
No kidding.
Like, that's how we have fun. We didn't have our phones. We didn't have we didn't have
no video games. No,
we didn't have none of that. We had, hey, like we're just gonna do some risky things.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I would definitely say that that's risk. I mean, from what I've seen on TV, I ain't messing with no wild dog. Yeah. Them things seem a little vicious.
Hey, it was fun, though, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. So how does that experience from the village to Columbus, Ohio, and the back and forth set you up to end up in a Marine Corps recruiter's office joining the Marines? How does that play out into that plan?
So the whole thing, man, like my whole life, my whole upbringing, like obviously my parents were never in America to begin with. They didn't spend their early years in America. So the same way I was trying to figure out is the same way they were trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I'm the second born. My brother's 23, going on 24. I'm 22. So, like we were so close in age. So my parents are still trying to figure out how to navigate with the America thing.
Yeah.
So, they were always harping on school, but I was never one of those. I was always focused on being better as a person. Like I had a lot of setbacks as a man. Like, I wasn't always the same person I am in front of this podcast right now. Yeah. I wasn't always like stern on my religion. I wasn't always stern on, me as a person or the value of being a man. I was like, like I was just outside, man.
Out here, yeah.
I was just with my people, with dudes that weren't good for me. I was, hanging around the wrong people. And then something just hit me one day because I was talking to my cousin. He's a Marine as well. And just seeing his transformation, it just like, it really intrigued me. I'm like, dang, like I always had in my heart to be a better person and to be a better person for my family.
Yeah.
Because the reality hit me. I graduated high school, didn't do nothing for the year after.
Mm-hmm.
I was in school for about a week. Like, man, forget this. I'm not doing this. This ain't for me.
Yeah.
And then once I got done with that, man, I'm like, bro, I don't know what it was, man. Like, as a Muslim would say, Allah guided me, for me to see, like, my dad and my mom busted their ass to come here.
Yeah.
Thought about it. I'm like, my dad went through all these countries, went through all this hardship, like, there's no way that I can be a failure or a loser. I can't. Like, my dad hasn't seen his family in 25 plus years. Like, I just can't. Nothing I can do no more. The support system that my father had was my uncle. He lived with me since I was about 5, 6, and he passed away in 2018. So my dad didn't have that support system anymore.
Yeah.
That's when me and my brother were forced to grow up.
Mm.
So once we got to that point, man, I'm like, what can I do to be better? And I always look back at, what's been in front of me the whole time. Like, he's either school, he's either ended up dead, ended up going to jail, ended up doing stupid, or like, my dad always told me, you choose your own path.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what? The military might be something I'm interested in. Called my cousin and I'm like, hey man, like, how's the military? How is that? Like, yeah, man, like, you just give me the whole rundown. Like, nah, man, don't join the Marine Corps, man. Just like go to the Air Force or something.
It's crazy. Marines always say that. Man. That's like the standard line. If you ask a Marine, should I join? Like, everyone's like, don't come to the Marine Corps.
He's like, nah, bro, don't do it, bro. I'm like, why not, bro? He's like, bro, I'm trying to tell you, don't do it. I'm like, all right, man. All right, cool.
And then, of course.
Yeah, of course.
you still end up.
I didn't have much marbles, just like the rest of us. But, I went to, first, actually, I went to Air Force Base. Walked in, talked to a recruiter. Like, grabbed the thing, grabbed the folder, grabbed everything else, and was like, yeah, this is what you're doing. Like, okay. No rundown, nothing? He's like, nah, this is it. Okay. Then I just left there. I looked at my paper. I just wanted to leave ASAP. I wanted to get up out of where I was at in my situation.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, Air Force probably about to take a year, because I was talking to one of my other Air Force friends. He's like, yeah, bro, I didn't ship out until a year later. I said, huh, a year?
Golly.
I'm like, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Next day I was at work. I was sitting there contemplating about my life. I'm like, oh, I'm about to listen to my cousin.
Yeah.
And then I went home. I grabbed my dad's car keys, and I'm like, hey dad, like, I'm finna go to the Marine office.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. He was really happy about hearing that. Went in there, talked to him instantly. Like, I just, obviously everybody has that recruiter propaganda, like, he's BSing you, but like, something stood out when I walked in there. It was like discipline. The first thing I seen.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, discipline. Never really looked into the word discipline, because discipline has a deep meaning.
It does.
Like, that's what carries you in life. Like, even when you're so motivated or whatever, discipline is what really carries you. Even with my religion, like, discipline in my religion teaches discipline.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, damn, that really resonates with me. That's something I need right there. So I'm looking in there, I'm talking to him. I wasn't like the regular, hey, this is the question I have. No, it was like, he was like, hey, this is that. I'm like, where's the paperwork?
Yes.
You
ready to sign?
Yeah, I was like, where's it?
You're sold.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm cool. I don't even need your BS or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I'm doing. I've always been a smart guy. So, hey, just give me the paper. Got it. Signed it. And I thought about it. I'm like, dang. Like, there's always that, you signed your life away. Or hey, like, so I was just thinking, I was just like, man, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for some change.
Yeah, man.
Told my family about it. It was really pumped for me. And, the reasons why I really joined, like, discipline, of course, for my own personal development. But the bigger picture here is understanding that I'm the first generation of military, of college degrees, high school diploma. I'm the first of in America. In America,
Yeah.
like it's something that's prideful. Like it's like, dang, like I'm the first one in my family to earn a diploma in America.
Yeah.
I'm the first one to earn an Eagle Globe and Anchor in America. My brother's about to graduate college. It's like there's pride in that. Like, you know, like struggles of my father, my mother, like me going over there myself and having my own struggles.
Yeah.
And like seeing that and you're like, dang, like the opportunity that I'm given, I can't waste it.
Right.
You know, like
it also kind of makes me think of like, if I'm in your mindset, if I'm being you for a day, it's like I would be thinking to myself, like, what do I need to do with what they gave me? You know, like they went through these struggles not for me to squander or waste this opportunity. I can't just let that go to waste, you know? And that's gotta be a mindset, man. And I would say actually a motivation, and probably adds into the discipline of getting what you need to get done. There was somebody who told me a little while ago, man, which really helped me see growth in a new perspective. But they said we all reserve the right to change, right? And I think that that's necessary. Sometimes I think people get so trapped into, oh, I'm stuck in this situation. I must remain in this situation. I must see life through these eyes, that they fail to adapt, kind of like what our organization tells us, right? Like adapt and overcome. And it can end up being blinders rather than something that helps you out. So just even hearing those words of like, we reserve the right to change. It's like, you know what? You know, when I go back to Atlanta, sometimes people are like, oh man, Kev, you done switched up. It's like, you're welcome. Because what, you expected me to you expected me to be the same guy that was running around running around in Decatur back in 2006? Holy golly. Like, no. You should expect me to change. If I'm not changing, then I'm probably doing something wrong, man. Thank you for sharing like your background, because I feel like that gives us like the platform or the foundation to continue the conversation. And it's interesting because like we're both two black guys sitting here, right? And I think some people see from different perspectives, like, oh, you know, we're all the same. You know, even in the military, we always say, oh, we're all green. But people have different backgrounds.
Yeah, for sure.
People have, you coming into this organization, I guarantee you was so much more mature than 18-year-old Kev showing up to some yellow footprints and saying, hey, I want to be a Marine, sir. I didn't have the structure of you know, living outside the country and being relied upon since I was, 10 years old. That's not part of my memory bank. That's not part of my life experience. But I can see the value of what you brought to this organization or just to the table by having those life experiences. But thank you for sharing your background, man. We're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to our next segment. Our next segment is called the Toss Up. This is a fun little game I do with all my guests, man. Where I have some questions in my salad bowl right here in front of me, and what I'm going to ask you to do is, man, I'll grab the bowl, let you reach in, and you pull out whatever question that you want. Just hand it to me, and I'll read it to you, and then we'll discuss it. It's usually like an either or question, like would you rather this or that, and then we'll just kind of discuss why you chose how you chose. You down to play this game?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's get into the toss up, man. Sure. Take that from your brother.
Sure.
All right, the first question for the toss-up for Yunuss is, would you rather control your emotions or express them fully?
My religion teaches me to control my emotion. So, reason being, there's a specific saying. It says, when you're angry, like the prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, he says, when you're angry, stay silent. And there's another one that says, never call a person, it's Umar bin Khattab, he says, never call a person pious until you see where the temptation gets to him. And then it says, never call a person righteous until you see how he controls his anger. So, you know, us being men, you know, like I'm making an example. like, women are a little bit more emotional than us. Let's say like you have a woman in your life and she makes you mad or something. Like you step back and you just be like, okay. Like my father, like, I'm always mention him because, he's a big image on who I am. So, he taught me that, like, when I step away, say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, which basically means I seek refuge and, keep me away from Satan. Don't get into me.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna feed in my head to feed into that emotion of anger. Because I realize it's always when you're mad or when you're frustrated at something, it's always you versus that situation or you versus that person. Well,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be like that. Like the saying that I always keep to myself is you versus you or you versus your own potential. I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, okay, how am I going to be a better man today? How am I going to be a better Muslim today? How am I going to be a better friend, a better brother, or a better son today? So it's like controlling my emotion is something controlling my anger is something that I'm working on myself because I'm young and I've had a lot of anger in my past, but I'm getting better at it.
Man, brother. Yunuss, how old did you say you were?
22.
Dog, I'm telling you, I'm just gonna give you your flowers in the middle of our game right now, man. I've never heard a 22-year-old voice that kind of feeling before, like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like for you to, even if we do struggle with some of these things, these aspects of actually playing them out, for you to have the reference and to know where to get it from, and for that to be readily available for you to say out of your mouth, I think that's really impressive. Just because I think about myself, man, that at 22 years old, man, one, you probably wouldn't even want to hang out with me because of how childish I was at that age.
Yeah.
But like, man, it's kind of inspiring to know that you're built different, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no problem, brother. We'll go move on to the second question.
Sir.
There we go. All right. Which is stronger, legacy through family or legacy through community?
So I believe that legacy through family is stronger. Reason being
Why is that? Yeah.
Communities are full of family.
Mm.
And a family is what builds a community. Like every community starts off with one person. And that person has a family. And they're molded from their legacy from that family.
Yeah.
So once you start off with a good foundation of your legacy of your family, like me, for an example, a pillar of Islam, like, obviously I'm structured and because of my religion, but also because of my legacy, my family's legacy. I'm starting off a community based off of my legacy and my religion. So that shapes the community to be a lot better because reason being, like, there's a lot of people that have my background on my page. There's a lot of people that don't have my background that are interested. There's a lot of people that are interested in the religion. There's a lot of people that are interested in the way I carry myself. But it's all because of my family, my upbringing, and my religion.
Yeah, man. That's a phenomenal answer, man. As we progress through these questions, like I'm always like looking at my guests and be like, man, how are you gonna raise the bar from the last question you just answered? That was a good answer, bro.
Yes, sir, bro.
Real good answer. All right, we'll move on to question 3, brother. Would you rather be misunderstood for being real or accepted for being filtered?
Misunderstood for being real.
That was a real quick question. Quick answer. Why is that?
Accepting the filter is a blockage of your growth. How can you grow if you're accepting the filter? How? Being misunderstood from, your values and who you are. I'm misunderstood all the way. Even in the organization, I'm young in my career, but I've had a lot of backlash on who I am and why. I don't get in trouble. I don't do anything stupid. I've never got an NJP, never 6105. But I'm misunderstood because, like I've been saying this whole podcast, man, this episode, like my religion and my background. It's not easy to come around a Muslim Marine or a Muslim military member in general. Like, coming up from that background, how stern we are, because I don't see the uniform as anything else but a uniform. I bleed the way I bleed. You're going to die the way I'm going to die. And that's just how I see it. Like, being misunderstood by a character is literally, I take pride in that. I take pride in being misunderstood because only the few understand.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want everybody to understand me.
True.
For what reason?
And you know what, man, as you talk about it, like, I feel like being misunderstood forces the conversation for us to really get into the weeds of like how we come together. Because if you don't understand me, okay, that's fine and dandy.
Sure.
Like, it's not meant for you to off the bat understand everything I got going on.
And it's like, there's a saying in the Marine Corps, know your Marines how to lead them. And like, that saying doesn't mean like you're like obligated to like sit there and like harp on somebody for knowing them. If you can't understand somebody, the way you should approach it, step back and maybe try to understand where they come from or how they came up.
Yeah.
That's where you find avenues of approach to lead and to improve people.
Exactly.
You don't sit there and be like, oh yeah, he's so misunderstood. Why doesn't he just have the mindset I have? Because bro, we didn't grow up the same way.
Exactly.
Our backgrounds are different. At the end of the day, yes, we're Marines, but we're different. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a Marine, of course, but I'm gonna tell you right now, man, I'm a Muslim. I'm a son, a brother, or anything else.
Yeah. It's funny because like using your words and the Marine Corps words, it says like know your Marines. It doesn't say judge your Marines, right? Like, we should be just, we should be fair in the way that we approach our leadership. But like, ultimately, what does it take to know the people that work for you? Whether even if you're not in the military, like, who's gonna take the stance of like, in order to know you, you know what? It starts with me and asking the question.
Yeah.
If I don't understand, instead of me waiting on an explanation, what's stopping me from asking the question? Like, and I would love to see people lean into that discomfort a lot more. I always challenge Marines, especially like when like we're training or I'm giving some kind of training at the building. I always, get them all riled up. I'll tell them like, hey, Marines, like if there was an enemy that showed up in New Orleans right now and we were the closest Marines to go fight, like, who's going with me? And everybody's like, hoorah, yeah, 1775, Semper Fi, all that kind of stuff, right? It's real easy for y'all who don't know Marines.
Yeah.
It's real easy to get Marines riled up about, this kind of thing, right? And they're like, yeah, we'll get the weapons, we'll go over there, we'll fight the enemy, right? And I always flip it on them because I always say, like, it's crazy to me that we are those people that will run towards gunfire, right? To where, like, literally, if you think about how irrational that is, when guns are blazing, Marines are running towards gunfire. I say it's crazy that we'll run towards gunfire, but we'll run away from a conversation, right? Like, the question that needs to be asked, we'll run away from that in the office, but we'll say we'll grab a rifle and we'll go engage the enemy. Like, which one is actually harder? And I would love to see people use their leadership ability to lean into the discomfort. Like, it's literally part of our construct to deal with conflict.
Yes, it is.
Our organization exists because
conflict.
Exactly. Like, that is literally our business. Yeah. So why are we leaning away from the conflict in the office of the people we don't understand? Like, I think it's our goal, or it should be part of our goal. And I think that's why we added empathy to like our leadership construct, is like, we have to be able to be emotionally intelligent enough to meet people where they're at.
Yes, sir.
Question 4, which is more potent? Identity shaped by struggle or identity shaped by joy?
Identity shaped by struggle.
Why is that?
There's a saying in the Quran as well, with hardship comes ease. Like, like the people that's been through the hardest are usually the ones that are the most successful or that take the most pride in success. Like me personally, like all the struggle that I've had in my life, like, obviously now, I'm looking back at it, I'm like, man, like, I appreciate that. I appreciate the struggle. Or let's say I'm struggling right now. I appreciate the struggle because, through adversity and prosperity is where you find your growth. You don't find it through joy. Joy comes last to me.
Yeah.
What comes first is me doing what I have to do. Like I said earlier, like discipline beats everything. And, I don't have to be happy to be disciplined.
Yes.
Like joy comes later, but through struggle is when you find yourself. Like, David Goggins had a saying too. He said like you never know where, like, he said like through the struggle is when you find who you are. Like, let's say, like, for example, like you're running 5 miles or something.
Mm-hmm.
You get internal in your head. You're like, man, I don't want to do this. Then you're running next to a guy that has the same thoughts as you, but he's still running. He's still circling his legs because that's what he has to do.
Yeah.
No, that's struggle, but he's still going with it. If you're struggling with joy or if you're just happy, like, I'm not gonna be as this one. I'm gonna run the miles. I'm gonna be like, man, forget this.
Exactly.
I don't need this.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point, man. Like in a previous episode that I did, my friend Warren, he was talking about how his wife told him that most successful people have a very good relationship with pain, right? Like where you know that it's all about the discomfort to get where you're going.
Literally.
That joy may last all of a second, but like it's all about the journey, and usually that journey comes with struggle. If it, my usual like rule of thumb is if it was easy, it probably wasn't even right.
Nope.
Like like I always question myself at this point in my life where I'm just like, why was that so easy? Like, and you know, ego aside, even if I'm good at it, like it still shouldn't have been that easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you and I have played basketball together, right? Like we've played on teams together, and you know, when we play against the team that we should beat, like it's like, you know, people can get excited, but it's like, oh, it's we should have won that game.
Yeah,
like,
we should have. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's like if I always put it like this, like if I go to a middle school right now and I walk in and some random middle schooler is like, hey, Kev, I want to play you in basketball. And I beat them in a game. Like, I'm not going to get much joy out of that because I'm in a middle school.
That's facts.
I should be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
It was probably easy for me, and it only makes the point of like, most likely I'm not going to remember it because that joy doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah,
so
that's definitely I'm gonna carry that, you know, with pain. Like, you know, the successful people, their best friends were pain. It's
man.
true, man. Like you think about all these successful people, man. All of them. Like you think about where they come from, their struggles and everything. Like, you know, there's a famous or a big Senegalese soccer player named Sadio Mane, or Akon, man. He's from Senegal too. So like you think about it, and it's like they come from where I come from. So it's like when you go to Senegal, there's Akon City. The lights over there are provided by Akon. Like some of them are provided by
that's super
Akon.
dope.
Sadio Mane does a lot for Senegal. Like you think about that, all of them come from struggle. And just with your question, like you think if they were happy with Senegal, they would go back, like, and give them what, you know,
they've got.
Like they wouldn't. Like, you know, obviously the struggle that they've had forced them to go back after the success,
right?
To give the lights, the foods,
of course,
and all that. So.
It actually makes me think of what you talked about earlier, man. Like you spoke about how you eat in the village, right? There's no individual eating.
Nope.
I feel like that teaches so many different parallels of lessons. Like if I'm eating, then we're eating, right? And I think that maybe how it plays out in different lanes when you look at your Akons, right? Like, hey, I've gotten famous, you know, I'm eating as far as financially, but I'm not gonna individually eat. I'm gonna bring it back to my own community, man.
Like even when you eat and as a family, like even when somebody walks past you, you've seen they just ate. You always ask, "Hey, come eat." Yeah. Always. There's no skipping that. Like it's in my culture. Like you have to tell them, like, "Hey, come eat." They say no, but you have to ask at least.
Exactly.
Because it's a welcoming. It's inviting them to come eat as a family because it means a lot.
Yeah,
eating
man.
off the same plate with your hands, like, or eating off the same plate in general with like 10 people, 12 people. Or like you got mothers with kids on their laps. Like, you know, eating with the kid, or you're eating with your own. Like I was eating with my little brother, man. Like he's 4 years old. Yeah. Or eating with him. He's a messy little kid, but I'm still eating with him. Yeah, probably yelling at him while we eating.
Probably. Yeah. But I mean, I, what it sounds like, man, is that it sounds inclusive. Yeah. Like we run from this word often, especially, you know, during these times right now. But like everybody, that's the sense of community that we all want, just being included. Probably why a little piece of why we all joined the military, because we want to just be included with something, right? Yeah. And to model that in life, even outside of what we do as an occupation. Definitely should be the goal, brother. Yeah,
for sure.
All right, man. Yeah, one more question.
Let's see it.
I don't know how you're gonna upstage what you've already done.
We'll see. Let's see how it's
Here we
going,
go.
man. Kind of just in my flow state.
Right. Here we go. Do you think injustice should be fought quietly or out loud?
Justice. It depends, I'll say, on the injustice. Because, obviously what's going on in the world now with the immigration. No, that type of injustice has to be spoken loudly. Because there's voices that are scared to speak about those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like my dad, man, like not to be, racial or anything.
Yeah.
My dad was like, yeah, man, like them Hispanics are out there.
Mm.
But us Africans, we scared to go out there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like injustice, like, if there's some that require just quiet silence. Like obviously, like, what goes on in the world is just like, what can you do? Like sometimes your voice is just not really heard.
Yeah.
Sometimes people protest for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Do it to look cool, to have something to do. Like George Floyd.
Yes.
Like I had a lot of friends go out there to protest. I was just thinking in my head, I'm like, y'all going out there to enjoy it? Or y'all going out there because y'all are actually like loudly like saying like this injustice is wrong? Like it's just, that's my standpoint on that.
It's always interesting, man, when it comes to like the protest thing. And there's probably somebody who's listening right now that's
For
like,
sure.
oh shoot, 2 Marines are talking about protest, and
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that type of party that they're expecting. I don't think it's going to be anything controversial about what I'm about to say, but at work, man, we used to teach this senior leaders workshop, man, and there was an exercise we used to do, and I'll try to explain it the best way that I can. But what we used to do is we used to get everybody out on our football field out in front of the building, and we have everybody line up. And this is, you probably, some people have probably seen this on YouTube played out before, but we would get everybody in the line standing side by side, and then we would ask them questions as facilitators. We'll say things like, was English your first language? If it was your first language, then step forward. If not, then step back, right? We would ask them questions like, did your mother and father own your house, or were they renting an apartment or renting where y'all lived at? If so, step forward, step back. We would ask them a series of questions. And then ultimately what we would look at is, everybody's kind of in a different spot. We have people closer to the front of where we're actually facilitating. We have people that are actually in the back as well. Okay. And one thing I will bring up about these questions were we asked them questions specifically that they had no play in, right? You learning your first language was not up to you, right? But it could have given you an advantage in this country, or it could have given you a disadvantage, right? So your mom and dad owning, if you're not working, then, that's mom and dad's decisions, but you had nothing to do with it. But it just pretty much came down to saying like, this is where we all stand in life. And believe it or not, some people think that it probably looked like racially disparaging, like the white people are up front, the black people are in the back. Never was it how you would think it would turn out. We have people in the middle, like all different types of people. We've had women closer to the front, whatever have you. But there's a part of that exercise, what we would do, man. We would stand in front, closest to the person in the front of the line, right? Yeah. And we would say, like, how does it feel to be in front right now? And they would kind of give us their experience. They would be like, oh, it's kind of, weird up here, just seeing everybody behind me. It's kind of jovial, right? Okay. And then we would ask the person in the back, how does it feel to be back there? And we're on a football field. We're outside. So, like, they're pretty far back, right? And we always made it a point to say, like, while they're talking to us, like, I can't hear you. Like, because if I'm standing in the front, I can't hear you all the way back there. But it really just made the point of like, hey, can you speak up? And usually by the time that everybody can hear them, they're yelling. But then it also brings up the point like, dang, in order for me to get my message across from the back, I have to yell. Yet sometimes people like will look at me and say like, oh, you're just being loud. Oh, you're just being disruptive. But it's like, no, literally based off of my position, I must yell for you to actually get my message. Don't come at me because I'm yelling. Ask me what I'm saying.
No, there's a saying that says aggression comes off as aggression. Oh, my bad. It says
passion.
Passion.
Yeah.
My bad. Passion comes off as aggression to the unmotivated. Like, when you think about it, like, that individual yelling at those people about his message wasn't him being aggressive. It was him being passionate about his message.
Yes.
But obviously those people are wondering, like, why did he yell? Why is he yelling? He doesn't have to do all that. But some people, that's how they come off, passionate. Because when they come off with passion, that's how they get their message.
Exactly.
Essentially, when you see somebody that's passionate, you see it, and you just have, at least for me, I respect them a lot more because, I'm not an unmotivated person.
Right.
When I see passion, I know it's passion. When I see aggression, I know it's aggression.
Man, you told me that the other day, and that's something that I wrote down. Actually, it's in my book that's sitting right under my laptop right now. When you said, passion comes off as aggression to the unmotivated. I wish I would have known that when I was 22 years old. and it's one thing that I've written down as far as like as I move forward in life. Again, how somebody who's younger than me can still pour into me. It doesn't matter if I'm a master sergeant in the Marine Corps and you're a Lance Corps. I feel like we all have these little gems to give each other because as a community, like we all have to eat, right? Yeah. So, yeah, man, thank you for that, man. That kind of concludes our toss up, man. Thank you for playing that game with us, man. Dope. Yeah, man. I feel like there's a lot of good nuggets in there that the viewers will be able to hear on, man. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna move on to our next segment. Our next segment, we like to call it Mixed Ingredients. Now, this is where I kind of pick certain topics that I wanted you to speak on because I had a genuine curiosity about it. I either wanted to educate myself or I felt like your message could educate people as this world goes around. Okay. So the thing that I picked out for you, man, is like, obviously you've spoken a few times about your religion and how it molded you. I think that there is a message that doesn't get out about some of the experience of being a Muslim in the military. Yeah. I feel like, through some of our conversations, it seems like you get it from everybody, from the Muslim community. It seems like you have to answer some questions. Yep. It also seems like from the people that don't understand, whether they be Christian, whether they be, like the dominant groups of this world that don't take part in your religion. Can you kind of talk on some of the things that you go through as far as like, I don't even want to say assimilating, but navigating this military world as a Muslim?
So it all comes back down to the history, man. Like, I was kind of ignorant on the history before I joined the Marine Corps and the military. I didn't know what happened in the world, really. I didn't really pay attention to that. I was really more focused on being better as a man and just being better for my family. But, like, as I always say, Allah guided me through my time in the military. Like, it started off like October 7th. Like, I was in boot camp and I was just, about to lay down, rack out for the night, and the drill instructor came by and he was like, there was an attack that happened in such and such country. And honestly, I didn't even know what he was talking about. I was just like, okay, this is weird. But he's like, yeah, like we haven't gotten any confirmation that America's getting involved yet. But yeah, I just wanted to, keep the leadership trait of keep your Marines informed. So I said, okay. Got out of boot camp. As soon as I got out, man, pulled out my phone, got on Instagram. I see everything. I see all the attacks, the bombings, all this stuff that's going on. I'm like, dang, like, whoa, like this is a convenient time. I'm like, I'm in the Marine Corps now. It's like, later on down the line, man, like, obviously I was a reserve at first for about 8 months. I was a PFC when I got promoted to Lance. That's when I put in my package to go AR. So I said, okay, like, I always had that. Like I told you before, man, I always had that. I need to grow. I need to be better. So I wasn't really too much thinking about being better as a Muslim. I honestly wasn't. I was thinking more so being better as a man. But coming to New Orleans, like tapping into the Muslim community here and tapping into the Muslim community on social media with my page, it just kind of changed everything for me. And now, like, being a Muslim in the military is a lot of misconceptions with Islam, obviously, through the obvious history of, certain things that's happened in the past. Like I was watching a certain documentary. It was over a weekend. I don't know what I was just bored. I was just laying down there, turned on Netflix, and the first thing that popped up was America's Manhunt, Osama bin Laden. I opened it up. I'm like, okay, let me watch this. I was always intrigued in what 9/11 was and what it was about. So I'll click the first episode and I'm watching through it. And I just felt a sense of anger watching it, sense of just discomfort watching it, chills on my body. I was just so mad, like just watching it, simply because of the message that the documentary had. You know, it had like Americans protesting, saying like, go back to your country, to Muslims, or like you would see bin Laden like coming in front of a camera saying like, God gave me the power to kill. And it's like, you know, the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, says like, a believer never harms nor reciprocates harm. You know what I'm saying? And that's the prophet. That's God's messenger, and he's telling us not to harm and not to reciprocate harm.
Yeah.
And this guy is he's a radical. You know, obviously he comes on the camera and he's like, yeah, God gave me the power. Alhamdulillah, Allah, you know, gave me this, that, Allahu Akbar and stuff. And then sitting there thinking about it, I'm like, man, this really like made me mad, because I'm like, I wonder why I always wonder, I'm like, why is there so much misconceptions about Islam? But then people don't understand the misconceptions are everywhere. You know, obviously this was a little bit more severe because it was the biggest terrorist attack on American soil. But, you know, my dad told me like, yeah, it motivated a lot of people to join the military. He said, I know recruiters ain't struggle at that time.
Definitely not.
Yeah. And then, you know, he also told me like President Bush took off his shoes, walked into a mosque and told them, basically, my beef is not with y'all. My beef is with bin Laden. I know Islam is a religion of peace, and he's not a peaceful man. He's a terrorist.
Yeah.
And which was true. There was people in Iraq and, you know, all these other countries, Muslim countries, that, you know, said the same thing about him. Like, man, this guy he's ruining our image as Muslims. This is not what we do. My sole purpose of my page is to call the people to Islam, you know, and also help motivate Muslims to being better Muslims. You know, obviously now the military's changed from what I hear. Like, I got a lot more accommodation. Like, I pray my 5 prayers a day. Even when I'm at work, I pray.
Oh, so you're saying like right now, you're serving, I think this is a misconception I wanted to stop on. You still have the accommodation to pray. How often, like, what does that look like for you?
So, you know, obviously us Muslims, we have 5 prayers a day. We have Fajr, which is in the morning. We have Duhr, which inevitably ends up in during work hours, which is around 1 o'clock, depending on where you're at, of course. And there's Asr time, which is around 4 or 5. It may mix on the time of you going home, but usually 4, I get off. If I have time, I just go to the mosque and I pray. Then I leave. Every Friday, I leave early. Like, I leave around when it's time to pray Friday prayer. I leave because it's an obligation for men to pray Friday prayer. So I pretty much still have everything. It's just I'm not around as much Muslims as my usual upcoming was. But
man, that sounds super refreshing, and it also sounds like an organization like ours, man, in the Marine Corps. We are evolving, right? Based off of the presence of who serves our organization. It took me a long time to realize, and I would consider myself a Christian believer, that like how good we have it as far as being the majority in this country, right? You know, especially when it comes to working in the federal government. I've never had to put in a religious exemption form in order to take my Christmas holiday, right? Or never looked around twice about talking about Easter, or the pinnacle of these Christian holidays is just the norm for me.
Yeah, but that reminds me, man. I'm sorry to cut you
Yeah,
off.
go ahead.
That reminds me of a certain situation I had. I don't want to say names or anything, obviously, but there was a certain situation I had in the schoolhouse. You know, there was a Marine over there on duty, and I was the advocate for the Marines around me that were Muslim. And it was Ramadan, so I was the guide of my TAC, and my class leader ended up being on special liberty. And I walk up, I'm like, hey, such and such, like, respectfully, you know, I spoke to the first sergeant, I spoke to the CO and all that stuff, and all my accommodations are up to par. We don't go to evening formations, obviously, because, you know, we had the evening formations before they signed us out. So I said, hey, I can't take care of my TAC today. I'm gonna have one of the squad leaders do it, and I'm gonna just go inside and break my fast and pray and everything like this. So that certain individual gets up and says, specifically, BS Marine, you think I'm gonna let you leave when it was Easter Day? He's like, BS Marine, like, you think I'm gonna let you get out? Like, it's Easter for me. Do you think I have an opportunity to go celebrate my religion? Like, duty comes first. Like, the mission comes first. I said, with all due respect, such and such, like, I can't.
Yeah.
This is my belief, and I stay firm in my belief. He's like, oh, I'm this rank in the Marine Corps. Like, you're not gonna disrespect me. And I'm sitting there. At that point, I was like, this guy is dumb. But then I'm like, so you telling me, first of all, you did two things. You made yourself feel like you're better than me because of your religion. And then you made it feel like you're better than me because of your rank. And it's like, you know, they challenge people that are passionate and that have, you know, that drive of their belief. I stay firm in everything I have, and nobody can ever take my beliefs away from me. Like, and the people behind me, the other Muslims, they were just looking. They were just amazed on how I was talking to this guy. And even the people in the building, there was people everywhere. They all walked in just to listen to it.
Yeah.
Probably like 40 people in the hallway listening to this. And I stood true to my belief. And, you know, like, after that, you know, my FA called me and was like, hey, man, like, what happened? Like, what did you just do? I'm like, I ain't do nothing.
Right.
I stood firm on my belief, and I told him what had to be done. It's not just about me. It's also about the Muslims behind me. And obviously, I can't break my fast any further past that time that I break my fast. And I have to pray at that time. So he can't tell me that I can't do that.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, in bringing that up, I can almost guarantee, and of course, I'm still in the beginning part of this podcast, so we don't know how many people are actually going to be listening, but my imagination, there's going to be a lot of people listening to your story. There's probably somebody out there who would challenge your way of thinking that would say, well, if you can't follow the rules, then you need to just get out. What would you tell those people?
So you're going to tell me, the thing is, people don't understand, right? The most firm Marines, the most firm people in the world are the ones that are disciplined in their spiritual fitness. People don't see that, but I see that. And it's not an opinion thing. That's a real thing. The people that follow their beliefs, people that are more firm on their beliefs, is what essentially, like, puts them further away from people. If somebody tells me to get out right now due to not to be following orders, I'm gonna look at them and tell them, so first of all, if you're gonna tell me to follow orders, I don't follow the blind. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I don't. Like, there's specific orders and everything in the Marine Corps, everything in the military is written. Everything in America is written. So if this order tells me that I can do, or I can follow my religion how I please, I have accommodations of this and that, I'm gonna pull that. I'm gonna be like, hey, I challenge myself to be more educational on these kinds of things, the religion, the things that I have, the resource that I have when it comes to religion. I had the biggest military chaplain in the biggest Muslim chaplain in the military hit me up. You know what I'm saying? And it's like he's been in the Army 34 to 36 years, something like that. He's a Muslim, he's a colonel, and, like, you know, like, all these orders are, like, written. You know, even you know, he told me, like, yeah, just don't ever listen to when somebody challenges you. It's like, you can challenge me, yes, but what makes you think that you're above the order that was issued?
Exactly.
Like you said, the Marine Corps is evolving. Marine Corps is not the same it used to be. He's definitely been in the Marine Corps some time. He's definitely been in for a good amount of time. But it's the failure adapt thing that you said.
Yeah.
People always complain about the challenged Marines, or they look at me like, oh yeah, like, Lab's a hard charger. Like, he always got something to say. It's like, no, I don't. It's not that I have something to say. It's, like I said earlier, my passion is coming off as aggression to you, because you're a puppet. That's what I call the people that just follow. They're all puppets to me, because what do you have to do with a puppet? The person has to control the puppet. So you're being controlled, and you can't You can't adapt. So it's not my fault you cannot adapt.
Yeah, man. That's gonna hit some people's ears, and that's gonna be there's gonna be something that's stricken in certain people where they will take what you just said as disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's actually an opportunity to accept some feedback, right? Like, I think we get to hear from the horse's mouth of like, hey, this is how it comes off when you think that I don't have a place in this organization purely based off the fact that my religion doesn't look like yours, right? Like, that's asinine. And just to know, I mean, of course, I've been in the Marine Corps a little bit longer than you, probably a lot longer than you. but I've seen our organization at times struggle when it comes to like retaining people, when it comes to recruiting people. And I heard a good friend tell me this before. If you ever make anybody choose out of themselves and this organization, they're always going to choose themselves.
Always. Because
this organization is going to end one day for everyone. So like, for us to make it seem like you don't have a place or a seat at the table, all based off of the fact that you believe differently, I'm glad that we're getting to the point that we're evolving past that. I would like to think that that's not just happening here in New Orleans, that's happening all across our United States military, because it's not just Marines. Marines aren't the only ones that just that act like this. Yeah. I think that the same thing goes for, outside the military as well. There's corporations. And I'll say this. I like to be generous with my assumptions that ignorance is real. Sometimes people say the things that they say because they simply just do not know, or they're trying to model what they think is right, and based off of the billet that they're holding, the level of leadership that they're at, they're trying to be something that they don't really just know how to be. And I think that's where like transparency comes in to play, right?
The challenge with that, the reason why I always challenge the fact of ignorance nowadays is because everything you have is right in front of you. You have a phone. You have ChatGPT.
Yes.
Like, you can ask these questions. Like, even if you can't get it from me, and you can get it from me. Like, there was a certain situation, man, like recently, like somebody said, yeah, I'm well aware of who you are. I asked about you. I'm like, and this guy, mind you, he works with me. I'm like, so basically what I'm hearing from your statement is you asked about me to somebody else rather than coming to me and trying to get to know me and asking me these questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are all ignorant things. Like, oh yeah, man, Lab's like so stern on his beliefs. Like, his aggression, like it comes off his attitude and this is that. I'm like, okay, brother, you didn't come up to me. You didn't ask me how I am or why I am the way I am, because there's a reason why everybody's the way they are. Yeah. But you didn't take time out of your day. You took that time to walk up to another individual. When I was there in the office, you walked up to another individual and asked them about me. And I'm sitting there like, okay, I digress. I was just like, okay. So it's like all these certain things are literally, ignorance is a disease simply because there's a cure for the disease. And even if, obviously the cure is not going to always work, or it's not always going to be efficient, but there's always trying to get to that point.
Of course.
Like, like if you have a certain thing about my belief that you don't understand, bro, there's sources. Yes. Islam has so many books, so many things. Everything is online. There's apps everywhere. Like, even things that I learned, man, a lot of things I've learned, I haven't even learned from actual people. I learned it on my own simply because of my phone and what's in front of me. Yes. Like, I look at a source or I order a book online and then I read it. So ignorance can be solved. Yeah. But people just choose not to because they're so in their heads that, hey, I'm a better human than you because of what I hold on my collar, or I'm a better human than you because of the experience I have in life or the age that I have. Like, bro, it was somebody I talked to, man. He was like, yeah, Lab, I've been through more than you in life because I'm 27 and you're 22. I was 21 at the time. I was 21 and he was 27. He was like, yeah, I've been through more in life than you because I've been in the Marine Corps this X amount of years, and I'm 27. I'm like, okay. That's wild. What makes you think that, man? Right. So I just know, man, just my age. I'm like, at that point, my maturity came in. I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
You're right, probably. You're probably right.
But see, this is the thing about this feedback cycle, man. Like you just dropped a lot of gems, especially, and I feel like in what you're saying is like you're speaking for a lot of subordinates out there who don't have a voice to say what you're saying right now. It doesn't matter if we're talking religion, gender, or sex, or whatever. There are some people who feel silenced, right? But like you're giving valuable feedback, and the thing about feedback is, I think it's on us to handle it appropriately. Based off the nature of my job, there's plenty of times that I get to see like the command climate or the culture of an organization, whether different units, things like that. And we'll do these surveys. I think everybody hates these surveys. Well, let me start off there. Like nobody likes filling out a survey.
I don't like them either.
Right. So we have to fill out these surveys saying like, how do you like it here? Do we those trigger words? Are we in a toxic work environment and things like that? And usually what happens is when we get these results, they go to the leaders, or actually it goes to the leader, right? Singular. And whenever I always read through the results before I send them to the leader just to prepare them, right? And I'm talking about comments, and I'm talking about, data as well. And one of the things that I always say to leaders when I send it to them is that you will have a human response to what you read, especially if it's negative, right? Because you feel like you're probably attached to it. If somebody even used your name and said, I don't like this guy because he sucks at this, whatever have you, I always try to prepare them and say, like, after that human reaction that you have, are you going to be more worried about who said what, or are you going to be worried about what was said, right? Because what was said is the feedback or the gift that we're being given right now. If we're more worried about the wrapping paper that gift came in rather than the gift itself, then I truly feel like that's where we may go awry.
Yeah, it's lacking because another certain individual. I'm very observant, man. Like I may not speak, but I show watch. I'm gonna watch you. It just like I was doing a course. I was looking at it. I was like, hey man, like you got any insight on this answer? It was about counseling Marines, like a corpus course. Like it was just like, like looked at it. It was 4 options. It was like pulling the Marine aside or whatever. One of the options was feedback from that Marine that you're counseling. He was just like, hell no, it's not that answer. Like that Marine's being counseled. Why are we asking for his feedback? Looked at him. Click the answer anyway.
Right.
I was just like, brother, like people don't understand, bro. Like the lowest ranks get to see, even in life or ages, ranks, ages, whatever, the lowest ranks get to see all the discrepancies. And they'll never tell a leader, hey, this is what's wrong. They'll come to me though, and they'll be like, hey, yeah, the lab, like such and such, I feel this way. Like, like they'll never go to that certain leader. And that's why a lot of things are the way they are. People always complain, why is the mission not getting accomplished? Even in life, why is the mission not being accomplished? Did you ever think about getting the feedback from the subordinate? Like ever?
It makes me think though, do people really want to know the answer to that question? Or is it just one of those questions where we're just going to throw it out there and it's like, oh, we're going to ask this because probably it sounds like the right thing to ask.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But
like,
it's rhetorical. Like I really don't want the answer to this question.
Man. Like there was a certain movie, man. I was actually gonna hit you up about it. I watched it yesterday. I can't even understand why I forgot the name. The Military Army Black Woman Unit.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I forgot the name.
Kerry Washington.
Yes.
Oh man, I'm blanking on the name right now.
The name too.
But great movie.
Yeah, that movie I watched it yesterday, man. Fire. Like I was sitting there, I was like getting towards the end of the movie, man. The major on there, she's like the male. They got obviously they got delegated to do male because the military thought they weren't good enough to do. Obviously, I don't even hit on that one, but thought they weren't good enough to go to battle, so they said, okay, they're gonna handle male. So when they were handling the mail at first, they were sending the mail out. It was going to all the wrong people, and it was getting mailed back because a lot of people had the same names. A lot of things were wrong. And once they received that mail back, the general just got on their ass about it. Like, oh, this is wrong. This is wrong. Got on the major ass and was like, why are you opening these people's letters? And literally, like, before that, the major was like, how can we do this? How can we better this? And she pulled people that she saw that had certain talents. It was like, okay, how can we figure this out? How can we figure out the name of this?
Mm-hmm.
And she got the feedback from the subordinates.
That was doing the work.
Right after that, they had 6 months to complete this mission. They completed it in 90 days.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
and this was millions of letters.
Yes.
And then, like, this is an important mission, obviously. You know, mail is important for, you know, deployed Marines or deployed military, because obviously that boosts the morale.
It does.
And you understand where you're going back to. So they boosted the morale of the entire branch, of the entire service at that time. And they boosted the morale of Black women in the military.
Yeah.
And they were all over newspapers, all of them. So it's like, you see that, and then you wonder, why did they get the mission done in 90 days? Because she took feedback from the subordinates.
Man, I'm getting chills right now, man, because I watched that movie, and it's crazy. This is probably the good part about movies. We can take a lot of different things away from watching the same thing,
Especially
but we have
like
different,
that.
different messages that come from it. But what you just said, as far as like things, I didn't even pick that up, possibly because I'm in a managerial position, like I'm in higher level leadership in the Marine Corps. But like, to be reminded of that, right? Like, things did get better when they just asked the question of how do we make this better to the subordinates?
Yep.
And I think that's one of the things that we go astray on when it comes to leading in the military, is like, why wouldn't we ask the people who are actually getting the mission done? They're the closest one to the force. I think sometimes we let our egos creep in there and say like, oh, because I've been promoted, I should know the answer. But we don't think to ourselves that they always say about a good leader is going to be reliable, relatable, and relevant. I think relevant is probably one of the most
For sure.
important ones out of that, right? Because we can lead, but what if it's not relevant? What if what I say is not hitting a tone with my subordinate? The subordinates are actually the biggest part of the whole operation. I remember when I was on recruiting duty, I was a recruiter in recruiting station in Atlanta, and I used to tell the recruiters, because we had a hierarchy. I was a boss. And then I had like higher level leadership as well. But I used to just tell the recruiters, some people probably would frown on me for telling them this, but I used to tell them like, the bottom level recruiter is the strongest thing on recruiting duty, because if you don't recruit, I have nothing to manage, right? Like, and don't forget your strength, because like, you're a subordinate. Yeah, you're at the low part of the food chain. But to be honest with you, we all have no jobs if you don't do yours. And we should be seeking their feedback.
Yeah.
So man, great point. I didn't even think, and I'm gonna make sure I put up the name of that movie too once it comes to mind. I'll put it up.
Yeah.
I'll edit it in somehow.
Definitely, that's a movie that everybody should tune into, especially the colored. Black.
Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely a cultural thing. Like, seeing it is like, dang.
Yeah.
Like, you appreciate, especially Black women, like, especially Black women watching it, like, you see, like, dang, like, this is what they were going through.
Exactly.
And then now you're wearing that uniform, you're like, man, like, you're wearing it with more pride.
Yeah.
You see that's what they went through.
Something about knowing your history, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just not even saying like we're not women, but like still knowing, I don't say knowing our history, knowing the history actually ties us into this thing a lot more than what we think. Because I'm not a woman. Not transitioning, not, will never be a woman, right?
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, a woman's story can still affect how I serve in this organization, and it does have a place in this world.
The world, too,
man.
sure.
All right, so man, thank you for filling me in on all of that stuff right there for our mixed ingredients part. I think it segues perfectly into our next segment called Dressing It Up. That's kind of like where I get to kind of like highlight what you're doing right now, what makes you special as far as like in the eye of people who don't see you on a day-to-day basis. You have a social media following based off of a page that you started. Can you kind of fill us in on that?
All right, so my page is called The Appeal of Islam, and appeal, calling the people to Islam, of course. So the whole reasoning behind it is because obviously, as Muslims, it's our duty to spread knowledge as well as gain knowledge and as well as call people to Islam. And just the community, obviously my growth as well. Like people in my community have seen my growth and they're motivated by it, inspired by it. So, I always thought about, I'm like, how can my sole passion has always been to motivate and inspire and to help people better themselves. And now that I'm in that portion, now that I'm in, obviously I'm still progressing myself. Obviously there's no like point where you're like, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I have the page, it's like I get to reach so many different people around the world, different backgrounds, just like me, different backgrounds from everybody else, or people that are just interested on my story and how I am and how I carry myself and why I carry myself the way I do. Like, there's Marines that came up to me, people that came up to me like interested in Islam because just simply off the way I carry myself. Like the misconceptions, like I mentioned earlier, people don't think about it, but in America as a Muslim, you have the power to shift perspectives.
Yeah, that's
like,
big.
People, obviously, they're going to look at you and be like, man, this guy's a Muslim, terrorist, whatever joke they're going to make, or Malcolm X joke or whatever. But they don't know that just you being the way you are can shift perspectives on how we really are as people.
Man, that's a word right there, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I shared this with you before, but I felt like it's necessary to bring people in on the conversation. I realized, and this is coming from a guy, I fought in Iraq, I've been to Afghanistan, I've been in the Middle East a few times, man. And I remember when I moved to New Orleans, actually before I moved to New Orleans, hopefully this is not a black eye for New Orleans, but I never owned a gun like that I kept in the house before I moved to New Orleans. Yeah. And then I moved here and I was like, I might need one.
Yeah, you need that.
I just rather have it just in case I do need it, right?
Yeah, definitely need that.
In getting a gun for our household, I wanted to make sure that my wife knew how to use the gun as well.
Yeah.
So we took her to a gun range, an indoor gun range here in New Orleans. We get there, and I'm very familiar with weapons. It's like an occupational hazard for us, right? We know how to deal with that kind of stuff. Yeah. We're used to the sound and all that kind of stuff. And we go into the range, and they have us pick out our ammo, what we want to use, and then we have the option to pick out targets as well. And I'll never forget, like, the guy showing us the different targets. There's actually some guys that are already in there. They're shooting like semi-automatic, or they were shooting some kind of high-powered gun. I didn't even really take time to check it out because I was overwhelmed by the target that they had. And the target that they were shooting at was a resemblance of somebody from the Middle East with like Muslim garb. And like, we're in a civilian gun range. And I think about the misconceptions, right? And really based off of the second and third order effects of the wars that we fought over the last 20 years. We're still, what I see is that we're still somewhat leveraging a hate that doesn't need to be there, all based off of misconception. If I have the option to walk into a gun range, pick out a target that looks like you, and put you up on the wall and shoot at you, I think we have a big problem. A big problem. Actually, we actually left that establishment, and it like really sat with me, man. I was just like, that I just can't get down with that. Like, it's not something that I feel is normal, nor should it be.
It's like dehumanizing.
It is.
Like grabbing a picture and like, this guy looks like a Muslim man, and what have they done their entire life? It's just all a misconception, man. Like, it sucks to hear that. It's definitely heartbreaking to hear that, because it's just like, there's people out there that look like that target.
Yeah. How do you
look at what I'm wearing, man? Like, I wear this with pride. Like, like, man, I will go down the French Quarter and walk with this.
Good.
You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's ever been able to knock me down from what I believe in. So it's just like, hearing that, obviously this country is not it's not a Muslim country. It's not here to support, but also it could just, the hate could it just unnecessary. Like,
it is. And you talked about changing perspectives, or like you have the power to change people's perspectives. What are some of the ways that you would encourage, whether you're your fellow Muslim brothers and sisters, or like somebody who is not a believer, how do you change people's perspectives on the things that you believe?
So the way you change perspectives as a Muslim in America, like, is following everything that the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, and Allah revealed to us. Because everything that we were revealed doesn't say anything about harming, anything about lashing out at people, anything about being angry. It tells us to be calm. It tells us to stay firm in our belief. It tells us to believe in God. It tells us, Lily says that killing one man is like killing an entire humanity.
Wow.
And thinking about that, and then thinking about all the misconceptions that we have. Like, people can easily learn these things. Like I told you, it's all ignorance. You can easily search this stuff. Like, you can ask ChatGPT, hey, is Islam a violent religion? It's going to tell you no.
Yeah.
I haven't even asked, but I just know it because I know what my religion has taught me. Like, there was a time where a certain field exercise, I don't even know if you want to continue putting this on there, but a field exercise, and I got off the bus, man. We got over there, and then I get off the bus. I look to my right. Ain't no way. Look up. It's a legit mosque at a field exercise.
Really?
I'm looking at it. This is a mosque. And then the instructor said, "Yeah, load up your packs in the mosque." I said, So you guys molded and built an entire training ground with a mosque. And then the neighboring building had the butcher shop in Arabic, and then the other building had something in that way. I'm just sitting here like, and then they say, "Oh yeah, this is Mount," and I'm like,
so this is interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because like I think that there's multiple messages in that. One is not saying that we won't go back over to the Middle East, or we will or we won't, but like, we're taking something from our past wars, trying to implement a representation of what it may look like. But I think there's something to be considered when we have people who are of this like, it's like why dude, man, this is I try to stop saying this this saying that I always used to say, something as simple as, oh, you're a Lance Corporal, you're at the bottom of the totem pole, right? I say that because I've been corrected on that, because based off of the culture of our Native Americans, the bottom of the totem pole is where they have their most senior people, right? But we make it seem like it's a food chain thing.
Yeah.
And we've kind of like hijacked their culture and made it into something that it's not. And when you told your story about the training exercise, it's like we've hijacked a culture. Well, and I'm not even saying that it was nefarious, like we did it on purpose to get at, Lance Corporal Lab. I don't think we did that, but like we're because of the lack of asking the subordinates, right, to get the answer to the question.
Like, they could have. How many battles has the military fought in?
Many
in the times of the history. There's so many wars that the military has fought. But the sole war that everybody brings up, and the sole training exercise that I was at, there's Iwo Jima, there's many battles. Like, I can't even name off the top of my head because there's so many.
Right.
And the fact that somebody's brain, it wasn't even the only mosque that was there. We drove out to the machine gun range, and I looked to the right, and it was another mosque.
Yeah.
And this one had a moon on top of it. The other one didn't have a moon, but this one had a crest. So now that I think about it, I was sitting there, I'm like, why? I'm like, there's so many other wars. Even if you wanted to go to put a mosque on one, could have left it at one. The next one, you could have put Vietnam or something.
And it's our job to win the battle of the future as well, especially since that battle is in the past. And I can agree with you. What it sounds like is like we've somewhat, how do I want to put this? We've taken the convenience or inconvenience of our previous wars, and we're letting that send out messages to our current population and some will say that it's worth it. Some people are. There's a lot of guys in my class of military men and women where we have this. We can't get past what happened in the Middle East, right? Like that was our claim to fame, to be honest with you. And I want to preface it by saying this: what the men and women did over in that country, as far as like winning on America's behalf, they did what they needed to do, and they made it back home. And for the ones that didn't make it back home, my heart goes out to their families. You know, I vividly remember my experience over there. This is not disrespectful to them, but what I will say is that for some of the people who did come back, me being one of them, I see that in some cases, we've over romanticized what we did over there, and we're having a hard time letting it go, right? Because yes, we did win that battle, war, conflict, whatever we want to call it, but that win is not worth the expense of our current people.
It's not.
And if we can't get past it, what do they always say in sports? Like, act like you've been there before, right?
And just worry about the next play.
And that's the great thing about America, actually, is like, we have been there plenty of times. We've won plenty of battles, plenty of wars. And I think it all goes back down to your point of like, why are we holding on so strongly to the hate from this one?
That's the thing. It's not even just, there's veterans. Yes, that's fought. There's you that's been there. But then there's people that haven't been there. People that, just like you talked to me, man, when I came up there one day, like the ones that really talk about the wars the most is the people that didn't fight in it.
Yeah.
These people did not. These people did not fight in it, and they come here and they tell me that, hey, yeah, how can I trust you in battle if you can't even clean your cubicle? Like what? You think I'm gonna you're gonna rely on me to save your life out there? Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like certain things like that, or like the training exercises are led by people that were not out there.
Yeah.
So your point is definitely valid. Like, you know, when it comes to you know, forgetting it, because obviously a lot has happened in the Middle East, of course.
Yes.
You know, but there's also people here that's never been there.
Yeah.
And that just see people like, you know, people that, you know, oh yeah, I fought over there in Iraq. And to be honest, I haven't really even heard veterans or Marines or any type of soldier or anything come up to me and be like, yeah, man, like my time over there was challenging, unless I ask.
Right. I feel like the ones that have actually experienced it, it's not something you lead with. Yeah. I mean, because you know, like you, I even go to the lengths of, you know, we deploy for long amounts of time, and this is what a lot of people won't say, but like we will cherish that 20-minute firefight. We will cherish that 30 seconds after being blown up, or having to clean that up. We will cherish that more in conversation at the bar, talking about it. But like what a lot of people don't get is like in totality, you spent a year's worth of time in that country, but you're only talking about 20 minutes of it. You know, like, and granted, your story is valid. Thank you for what you did. But like, there's more to the story than that. Like, just like being Marines isn't our full identity, that deployment is not your identity. That one experience doesn't define who we are as people, because we still got a lot of learning to do. We still got a lot of fighting to do. We still got a lot of evolving to do. If we just anchor down on that one experience, man, I think it could be detrimental for
definitely
more than
is.
just
That's
yourself.
anything in life though. Like just clinging on to one experience, it's not going to do anything for you. You have that experience and you grow from it. Like, you know, probably if a lot of those people that made it back as well as you, maybe if you went out there, you wouldn't be the way you are now. You know, like it molds you into being something bigger than yourself. Like, you know, obviously people say, oh, the Marine Corps is bigger than you. Yes, it is. That's exactly why when I get out, there's a number.
Yeah.
When I get out, they already got the next whatever rank I'm gonna be at the time I get out. Like, hey, you already
got them queued up.
We already got them already. Hey, we're waiting on them to get here. Monitor already called him and everything.
Right.
Issued orders. He already coming in. He already inbound. So it's like, you know, you think about that, man, and then just going back to that point, like the people that talk about the wars are the ones that have not been there.
Yeah,
people
man.
that have the most misconceptions to say about Islam have not been out there. The person that shot at that target
Mm-hmm.
in that civilian shooting range has not been out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, I can only imagine the veterans that went out there definitely saw the side that they didn't think they would see.
Yeah.
Like the refugees, the kids, the mothers, the fathers, like the people
Yeah.
that don't want nothing to do with violence.
Yeah, man.
That are just living there, and they're victims to their environment. They're victims to where they
Yeah.
live. So
That
it's like,
stuff actually sticks with you more, man.
Mhm.
You're like spawning off this memory that I have in my mind. I've actually dreamed about this.
Mhm.
I don't think I've ever said this out loud, man, but we used to roll through like different towns and stuff like out in the area of Iraq that we were in. And like I still remember some of the faces of the kids, some of the faces of the women, either whether they were like scared that we were there because they didn't know what we were gonna do, or if they were happy that we like, man, America's here. Like we're safe now.
Mhm.
Those faces, even down to the detail, dog. I still remember. I'm thinking right now, like those details stand out way more to me right now in my life than the death that I saw out there.
Yeah.
Like actually I try to erase that part. So like, and you bring up very good points because like you said, it's not a badge of honor of like, oh, talking about war. Anybody who's been to war probably doesn't want
They
it.
don't talk about
It's just kind of like the hood, right? Like, oh, if you really from the hood, you really don't want to stay in the hood.
And you don't have to take pride in it.
Exactly.
Ain't nothing good about being in it.
Exactly. Like you're usually trying to work away from things like that. So, man, very, very valid point, man. Make sure that y'all go follow Appeal of Islam.
For sure.
You're going to get a lot of good information and it's also collaborative. So you bring people on to your page and you're spreading a lot of good knowledge, man. So, excuse me. Thank you for sharing that. We're arriving at our conclusion, man. And that moves us into our last segment of the day. And I already want to, I'm probably going to make this premature, but I already want to thank you for the time and the things that you've already said,
sure, man.
But the last segment of the day is called The Final Bite. Now, the final bite is where I allow my guests to give us like a final thought. What's on your heart? What's been on your mind? And something that you can leave the viewers with as far as like a piece of you that you feel like is like a timeless piece of information that you will want people to hear right now.
Just the ignorance and the misconceptions and all of these and us, even me as a Muslim and the other Muslims that are viewing this, just understanding that you have the power, you have more power than you think. Like, you really don't know the power that you have as a young Muslim in America, or even an older one. You have a lot of power. Like, you can shift perspectives. Like I said, there's people that's looked at me like, man, that's a real stern, real good guy. Why? Islam is my compass. They see it like, okay, Islam's his compass. Why can't it be mine? If he can improve the way he did, then I can improve that way. Not even just Christians, not even just Jews, Buddhists, not even just that. Not even non-believers, atheists. Muslims as well. They look at me like, okay, he's gotten better because Islam has been his compass. That's the whole point of my page, to guide people, to spread knowledge and spread awareness on what's going on in the world. Especially now being on this podcast, like, I recently posted something on my TikTok. I just took it down for obvious reasons, but I posted this and got a lot of hate. Got a lot of hate from obviously the world of Muslims, the Ummah, as I would say. The Ummah means, the Muslims, the Islam, the Muslim nation. So my message to that, and I'm only gonna say it one time, man. Like, I'm not saying it again. Like, the people don't understand, right? My journey comes off with ignorance. It came off, I didn't know any of the battles. I didn't do research on any of that. I was just a young man trying to be better and wasn't really too focused on the deen. But now, deen means religion. But now that I have more of a positive thinking and I have more thinking to myself, now it's like, okay, I looked at the comments. it was a lot of hurtful, hateful comments. Not to me. It didn't hurt me personally. It hurt my message.
Mm.
You know, like I told you, misconceptions, misinterpretations, and all of these kinds of things and people that are interested in Islam. You think that me posting that piece and y'all saying what y'all said in the comments is going to invite anybody to Islam? It's not. Not at all. Like, it disrupted my message. Obviously, there's a lot of people that supported me, and I thank that. But with that being said, I don't owe anybody an explanation about my intentions. I can give you clarity about my journey, but when it comes to my intention, that's between me and Allah. That's it. Nobody can, I'm not going to say nobody can judge, because you can judge what's apparent, but I didn't post that to grab viewers, grab attention, which it really did. It grabbed a lot of attention, but I didn't post it for that reason. I posted it to obviously shed light on the problem that other military Muslims probably have in their lives. Like, I've had a few people hit me up telling me certain things about it, man. It was like, yeah, like, I really love to hear your journey. Or people in the comments, I really love to hear your journey. But my journey I'm not going to dig deep into my personal journey, because like you said, like I told you earlier, being misunderstood is a gift. And I don't have to have everybody understand me.
Yeah.
Because the few that understand, or the few that watch this, and the few that follow me, and that, you know, are in my community and that are trying to strive the same way I am, because I'm no better than anybody. I'm a Muslim trying to be better. I'm a man trying to be better, just like everybody else. I'm not better than anybody. But, you know, the discipline of it, like, you know, the reason why I took it down, because one, why would I? There was people arguing in the comments. There was people saying terrible things. People call me a disbeliever. People somebody posted on TikTok and put disbeliever on my forehead. Like, you know, like, I was born a Muslim. Yes. That's the argument that people have. You were born a Muslim. You see how America has oppressed our people. All these kinds of things. All this is propaganda. Like, I can't sit here and say, oh yeah, you pay taxes, so you know, that was my initial thought. But, you know, like I told you earlier, anger is something that you control. Because I could have easily posted a video. I posted this probably 4 weeks ago. I could have just hopped in front of a camera and be like, oh no, such and such, this is and that. But I'll follow the teachings of the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him. And he said, when you're angry, stay silent, because it did make me angry. And I stepped back, and you know, the greatest scholars in our time as Muslims went through hardship trying to spread the message of Islam, because it's all a test for me to really believe whether I genuinely want to do this.
Yeah.
So the pillar of Islam has grown tremendously, and, you know, all that's praise to Allah. You know, I would never, you know, the message is not meant for viewers. It's obviously meant for viewers, not meant for attention. It's meant for the intention of it, because anything that you do in Islam all comes down to the niyah, which means the intention. It all comes down to the intention of doing it for the sake of God.
Yeah.
And that's what I do it for. I don't do it for the sake of hateful comments. I don't do it for the sake of praise. I don't do it for the sake of looking pious, because I'm human. I make mistakes. And if this is a mistake and the military is wrong in our belief, then may Allah guide us a way out, you know, the other Muslims that are also in. But now the lens of what I'm seeing, and the lens of everything that I've spoke about in this podcast, is all because of me being in the military as a Muslim.
Yeah.
So there's positives to things, shifting perspectives. There's me making my page. I made my page out here while in the military. I content create while I'm in the military. I go to the mosque every day. I connect with brothers online. I have the Lions of the Ummah for the Muslim men. You know, helping Muslim men unlock their full potential. It's a lot of things that I do, man, that, you know, they see us military members, us Muslim military members, as threats to the Ummah, the Muslim nation. But in our reality, we're not.
Yeah.
We're trying to be better, and just like you are, you know, we're trying to be better, and it's not fair for you to come up to somebody and tell them this, because, like I said, it doesn't hurt me personally, but it hurts others, and it hurts my message.
Yeah.
So, you know, a certain Muslim came up to me and texted me and was like, I'm depressed, like, because of the uniform I wear. I wear my uniform, but I wear my hijab. And it's just hurtful. Like, as soon as I posted this, texted me and said this, I just sat there and I was just reflecting on it. Just sitting there thinking. I prayed on it and everything. I was just like, man, like, this is what comments do to people, certain comments. Like, you know, Islam doesn't tell you to teach with aggression. It doesn't tell you to teach with just, like, alcohol in the beginning of Islam was not forbidden. It was, feel me? It was good. We call it halal and haram. Halal means permissible. Haram means not permissible. So it was halal in the beginning. And obviously due to the time in the Middle East, alcohol was a big thing at that time. But later on down the line, you know, it became not permissible. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you think about that, like, Islam doesn't tell you to teach or to guide with anger and aggression, because that essentially is what pulls away. Like, there was a certain professor I was watching. He said when you look at the Quran, the book, like, Muslims tell you rules, rules, rules. 3% of it is rules. That's what he said. He said 3% of it is rules, and 97% was your relationship with God and man, how to operate in life, ethics, being a better person. That was his perspective, of course, but as well as other Muslims, man, like Yunuss al-Hakim as well. Shout out to him. He's a revert. He read the Quran in 2 weeks.
Wow! And
when he read it, he said like when he read it, it was so powerful to him. He was like, "There's no way a man could have written this." Mm. So, you know, like just and this, you know, all these things. Like, this guy was in the military too, and he did not see a Quran until he joined the military. He just thought that people were worshiping the black cube and stuff, but he found out it was way deeper than what it was. You know, like this, like the point being, Allah guides you in ways, you may not even think of, and places you may not think of. And this organization was probably the place.
Man, it's really special, man. One thing I do want to encourage you to do, brother. One, thanks for that final bite, but encourage you to continue to live out your journey, man. Like, and share. I think social media nowadays, that comment section, it gets weird
ugly
in there, man. It gets real ugly in there.
Yeah.
But I think that the purpose of what you're shooting for, man, as far as bridging gaps, changing and shifting perspectives, it's what we need in this world right now, man. That's something that AI definitely won't do for us. It can't replace the human aspect of your intentions. And I just want to thank you from me to you, man. Like, thank you for what you do. Like, it seems like there's a purpose for it, and it resonates with a lot of different people, man. Also, just want to say, man, thank you for spending this time with me today as well, man. Like, I feel like we've been talking for a while, but we might need a part 2 to this as well. You got to come back to the podcast and grace us with your presence, man, because I feel like I learned so much, and I feel like it's an exchange of information that's needed.
For sure, I learned a lot too.
And I think that we could foster better conversations like that, because some people are like, wait, a Christian can talk to somebody from that's Muslim, and they can still be, I mean, like, it's just opening your mind up to digging into what you don't understand,
man.
Man.
The world being closed-minded, man.
Exactly, man. Like, I guess on the basis of this podcast, like, I'm not expecting the lettuce to want to be tomatoes. You know what I'm saying?
Just like your church says, normalize authenticity.
Man, you just got to normalize authenticity, man. So thanks for spending some time with me today, man. I truly appreciate you. To the viewers out there, hey, I just want to, we'll put all of Yunuss's information up. So if you want to follow his pages, you're interested in him, you'll have access to him. And I'm pretty sure he'll be looking forward to reaching back out to you. Thanks for spending another time with us for an episode of the Salad Bowl podcast. I'm looking forward to editing this one up and getting that out to you as fast as possible. Thank you for your attention. And like we always say on the podcast, we're going to continue to normalize authenticity. And we're also going to choose curiosity over certainty, because if we're just so certain about something, conversations like this can actually happen. So thank y'all for viewing in. Make sure that you like, share, comment on this episode, and then subscribe to my page. Thank y'all so much. And I'll see you on the next time of the Salad Bowl podcast.
All right.
Bro.